They conquered the world but lost the war within. These legends were the soundtrack to our fondest memories, yet their melodies hide a tragic end. Join us at Celebrity Tribute Hub to honor the brilliant souls who shaped our lives, remembering the stars who burned out far too soon. Michael Jackson. He was the undisputed king of pop, a global force whose magic transcended borders, languages, and generations. From the Gravity, defying moonwalk to the record, breaking heights of Thriller and Billie Jean, Michael Jackson gave the world a rhythm it had never felt before. On June 25, 2009, the world stood still when he passed away at just 50 years old from an acute overdose of propofol and benzodiazepines. His legacy is not just in the records he broke, but in the sheer joy he brought to millions, leaving a creative void that can never be filled. Elvis Presley. Before anyone else, there was simply the King, a cultural icon who changed the face of music forever with a shake of his hips and a curl of his lip. Elvis Presley defined an era with hits like Jailhouse Rock and Suspicious Minds, blending country, blues, and rock into a sound that shook the world. Tragically, on August 16, 1977, we lost him at only 42 due to heart failure complicated by prescription drug use. Graceland remains a sanctuary for his memory, proving that while the man is gone, the legend of Elvis will never die. Whitney Houston. She possessed a voice so pure, powerful, and radiant that she was known simply as the Voice, setting the gold standard for every singer who followed. Whitney Houston's rendition of I Will Always Love You remains one of the most heart-wrenching performances in history, capturing the collective soul of the world. Sorrow struck on February 11, 2012, when she was found unresponsive at age 48, an accidental drowning with cocaine contributing to the tragedy. Her angelic tone remains immortal, a bittersweet reminder of a talent that was truly once in a lifetime. Prince. A musical prodigy and a master of reinvention, Prince was an artist who played by no rules but his own, playing nearly every instrument on his albums. With masterpieces like Purple Rain and When Doves Cry, he blended rock, funk, and pop into a sonic landscape that was entirely unique and deeply emotional. The world lost this purple majesty on April 21, 2016, at the age of 57, following an accidental fentanyl overdose. He left behind a massive vault of music and a legacy of unapologetic individuality that continues to inspire outsiders and dreamers everywhere. Kurt Cobain. As the frontman of Nirvana, Kurt Cobain became the reluctant voice of a generation, channeling raw pain and confusion into a movement that changed rock history. His anthem Smells Like Teen Spirit shifted the culture overnight, bringing the underground grunge sound to the mainstream masses with undeniable force. We lost this sensitive soul on April 5, 1994, at age 27, to suicide with heroin present in his system. Though his time was short, his honest, gritty lyrics still resonate deeply with anyone who has ever felt misunderstood or alone. Jimi Hendrix. Widely regarded as the greatest instrumentalist in the history of rock music, Jimi Hendrix did things with an electric guitar that seemed technically impossible. His psychedelic sounds in Purple Haze and his legendary, searing performance of the national anthem at Woodstock redefined what music could be. Tragically, his genius was extinguished on September 18, 1970, when he passed away from an accidental barbiturate overdose at the tender age of 27. He played for only a few short years, yet he altered the course of music for eternity with his electric soul. Amy Winehouse. With her signature beehive hair and a voice that carried the weight of old-school jazz and soul, Amy Winehouse was a rare, authentic talent. Her album Back to Black and the hit Rehab were brutally honest chronicles of her personal struggles, delivered with a vocal texture that felt wise beyond her years. On July 23, 2011, the world was heartbroken when she died of fatal alcohol poisoning at just 27 years old. Her music remains a testament to her vulnerability, proving that even the most beautiful voices can carry the heaviest burdens. Jim Morrison. Known as the Lizard King, Jim Morrison was the poetic and charismatic frontman of The Doors, captivating audiences with his wild, shamanic stage presence. Classics like Light My Fire and Riders on the Storm showcased his unique ability to blend psychedelic rock with dark, literary storytelling. He passed away in Paris on July 3, 1971, at age 27 with a suspected heroin overdose contributing to heart failure. Morrison remains an enigma, a symbol of rebellion whose poetry continues to echo through the corridors of rock history. Janis Joplin. Janis Joplin was a force of nature, possessing a raw, gravelly voice that could channel the blues and pain like no one else in her era. Her electrifying performances of Piece of My Heart and Me and Bobby Meek G proved that she poured every ounce of her soul into every single note she sang. Sadly, on October 4, 1970, she joined the tragic 27 Club following a heroin overdose. Her legacy is one of uninhibited passion, paving the way for countless women in rock to sing their truth without apology or restraint. Avicii, a melody-making genius who brought electronic dance music to the global radio waves, Tim Bergling, known as Avicii, defined the sound of the 2010s. His anthems like Wake Me Up and Levels were euphoric and uplifting, yet often hid the intense pressure and health struggles he faced behind the scenes. On April 20, age 28, he tragically took his own life after battles with alcohol-related mental health crises. He left us a catalog of pure joy, but his story serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of mental health. Juice WRLD. Though he belonged to a younger generation, Gerard Higgins, known to the world as Juice WRLD, possessed a melodic soul that resonated with millions. He became the voice of modern heartbreak and vulnerability, using his music to openly discuss the struggles of anxiety and addiction. His breakout hit Lucid Dreams dominated the airwaves, showcasing a unique blend of rock sensibilities and hip-hop rhythms. Tragically, his promising life was cut short on December 8, 2019, just days after his 21st birthday, due to an accidental overdose of oxycodone and codeine. His lyrics continue to help young people feel less alone, leaving a legacy of raw honesty. Mac Miller. Mac Miller was a musical shapeshifter who evolved from a carefree youth into a sophisticated artist with a deep appreciation for jazz and soul. His artistic growth was visible to the world, culminating in the critically acclaimed, introspective album Swimming, which dealt with healing and self-discovery. Sorrow swept through the music community on September 7, 2018, when he passed away at 26 from an accidental overdose involving fentanyl, cocaine, and alcohol. He is remembered not just for his incredible musical versatility, but for his gentle spirit and the kindness he showed to everyone he met. Sid Vicious. As the bassist for the Sex Pistols, Sid Vicious was the visual embodiment of the punk rock revolution that swept through the UK in the late 70s. With his sneer, spiked hair, and chaotic energy, he became a cultural icon, famously delivering a defiant, anarchic version of Frank Sinatra's My Way. His turbulent life came to a sudden halt on February 2, 1979, when he died of a heroin overdose at the devastatingly young age of 21. While his technical skills were often debated, his image remains the permanent face of punk's rebellion and excess. Billie Holiday. Known affectionately as Lady Day, Billie Holiday possessed a voice that could carry the weight of the world, turning every song into a deeply personal confession. She changed the art of jazz singing forever with her unique phrasing and emotional intensity, immortalized in haunting tracks like Strange Fruit and God Bless the Child. Her battle with hardships ended on July 17, 1959, at age 44, due to complications from liver and heart disease exacerbated by years of heroin and alcohol use. She remains American royalty, a woman who sang the blues with a dignity that has never been matched. Dee Dee Ramone. As the bassist and primary songwriter for the Ramones, Dee Dee Ramone was the driving force behind the high-speed energy of punk rock. He penned the anthems that defined a genre, including the legendary Blitzkrieg Bop, giving the world the "Hey! Ho! Let's go!" chant that still fills stadiums today. We said goodbye to this punk architect on June 5, 2002, when he passed away from a heroin overdose at the age of 50. His frantic down strokes on the bass and catchy songwriting created a blueprint that countless bands have followed ever since. Chris Kelly. As one half of the dynamic rap duo Criss Cross, Chris Kelly, known as Mac Daddy, was a global phenomenon before he was even old enough to drive. Along with Chris Smith, he sparked a massive fashion trend of wearing clothes backward and gave the world the infectious 1992 mega hit Jump. Sadly, the nostalgia turned to grief on May 1, 2013, when he was found unresponsive at age 34 following a fatal overdose of heroin and cocaine. He represents a golden era of 90s youth culture, a memory of a time when music was simply about having fun. Scott Weiland. With a megaphone in hand and a slithering stage presence, Scott Weiland was one of the most charismatic and versatile frontmen of the 1990s. As the lead singer of Stone Temple Pilots, He delivered grunge staples like Plush, an interstate love song with a baritone voice that could shift from growling aggression to melodic beauty. His turbulent battle with addiction ended on December 3, 2015, at age 48, due to an accidental overdose of cocaine, MDA, and ethanol on his tour bus. Waylon remains a symbol of the rock star persona, magnetic, talented, and ultimately deeply fragile. Lane Staley. Possessing a voice that was both terrifyingly powerful and hauntingly beautiful, Lane Staley defined the darker, heavier side of the Seattle grunge scene. As the frontman of Alice in Chains, his harmonized vocals on tracks like Man in the Box and Rooster captured a sense of despair that resonated with an entire generation. Tragically, on April 5, 2002, exactly 8 years after Kurt Cobain, he was found dead at 34 from a speedball overdose of heroin and cocaine. His music serves as a chilling, yet gorgeous, chronicle of pain that will never be forgotten. Tom Petty. Tom Petty was the quintessential American rocker, a songwriter who could capture the essence of the human experience in 3 minutes of perfect melody. With the Heartbreakers, he gave us the soundtrack to our lives with timeless classics like Free Fallin' and the defiant anthem, I Won't Back Down. The world was shocked on October 2, 2017, when he passed away at 66 due to an accidental overdose of prescribed medications, including fentanyl and oxycodone, while treating a fractured hip. He left behind a songbook that feels like home, reminding us that he was truly one of the great storytellers. River Phoenix. Though primarily known as a gifted actor, River Phoenix was also a talented musician whose sensitivity and depth promised a limitless future. He captured hearts in films like Stand By Me and My Own Private Idaho, displaying a wisdom and vulnerability far beyond his years. On October 31, 1993, Hollywood lost its golden boy at just 23 years old following a collapse outside the Viper Room caused by a cocaine and heroin overdose. He remains the ultimate what if? A brilliant shooting star whose light was extinguished before we could see how bright it would truly burn. Corey Monteith. With a lopsided smile and an undeniable charm, Corey Monteith stole our hearts as the lovable quarterback Finn Hudson on the hit show Glee. He represented the quintessential boy next door, and his performances, particularly the anthem Don't Stop Believin', inspired a massive resurgence of choir music worldwide. Tragically, on July 13, 2013, he was found passed away in a hotel room at the age of 31 due to a toxic mix of heroin and alcohol. His passing shattered the Glee family and fans alike, reminding us that even those who bring us the most joy can be fighting invisible battles. Dennis Wilson. As the drummer for the Beach Boys, Dennis Wilson was the only member of the band who actually lived the surfing lifestyle they made famous. His rugged good looks and raw energy powered hits like Good Vibrations, while his solo masterpiece Pacific Ocean Blue revealed a deeply soulful and undervalued songwriter. Sorrow washed over the music world on December 28, 1983, when he drowned at age 39 with alcohol and cocaine use contributing to the tragic accident. He remains the untamed spirit of the band, a man whose life was as turbulent, beautiful, and wild as the ocean he loved. Keith Moon. Known affectionately as Moon the Loon, Keith Moon was the chaotic heartbeat of The Who and arguably the most explosive drummer in rock history. His maniacal energy on tracks like Baba O'Riley and Won't Get Fooled Again turned the drum kit into a lead instrument rather than just a timekeeper. On September 7, 1978, the laughter stopped when he died at 32 from an overdose of heminevrin, a drug ironically prescribed to help him combat alcoholism. He left a legacy of destruction and brilliance, proving that sometimes the brightest flames really do burn out the fastest. Lil Peep. Gustav Dier, known to the world as Lil Peep, was a genre-blending pioneer who merged the raw emotion of emo rock with hip-hop beats. His tracks like Star Shopping and Awful Things spoke directly to a younger generation battling depression, as he wore his heart on his sleeve and his tattoos on his face. We lost this innovator on November 15, 2017, just 2 weeks after his 21st birthday, to an accidental overdose of fentanyl and Xanax. He is remembered as a gentle soul who validated the pain of millions, leaving a massive impact in a heartbreakingly short time. Old Dirty Bastard. Russell Jones, better known as Old Dirty Bastard, was the unpredictable wildcard of the legendary hip-hop group, the Wu-Tang Clan. With his slurred half-sung delivery on hits like Shimmy Shimmy Ya, He created a style that was completely original, eccentric, and impossible to duplicate. His chaotic life came to an end on November 13, 2004, when he collapsed at a recording studio at age 35 due to an accidental cocaine overdose. ODB remains a cult figure in music history, a symbol of raw, unfiltered creativity that broke every convention in the book. Hillel Slovak. As the founding guitarist of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Hillel Slovak was the architect of the band's signature punk sound. His sharp, rhythmic playing on their early albums laid the groundwork for the band's global domination and heavily influenced his successor, John Frusciante. Tragedy struck the rising stars on June 25, 1988, when Slovak passed away from a heroin overdose at the young age of 26. His spirit continues to live on in the band's music, remembered by his bandmates as the beautiful soul who started it all. Bradley Nowell. Bradley Nowell was the sun-soaked voice of Southern California, blending ska, punk, and reggae into the infectious sound of his band, Sublime. He penned ubiquitous summer anthems like Santeria and What I Got, songs that captured a laid-back lifestyle with an undercurrent of grit. Heartbreakingly, he died of a heroin overdose on May 25, 1996, at age 28, just 2 months before the release of the self-titled album that would make him a superstar. He never saw his music conquer the world, but his voice remains the eternal soundtrack of endless summers. Proof. Deshaun Holton, known as Proof, was a pillar of the Detroit hip-hop scene and the best friend and hype man for rap superstar Eminem. As a key member of D12, his gritty verses and charismatic presence helped put the Motor City rap scene on the global map. On April 11, 2006, his life ended violently at age 32 following a nightclub dispute where gunshot wounds proved fatal, with cocaine and alcohol intoxication listed as contributing factors. He is remembered as the glue that held his crew together, a loyal friend whose loss changed the course of hip-hop history. Mike Starr. Mike Starr provided the thunderous, heavy bottom end that defined the sound of Alice in Chains during their most influential years. His bass lines on the masterpiece album Dirt were essential to the sludge-soaked atmosphere that made the band grunge legends. Sadly, his public battle with addiction ended on March 8, 2011, at age 44 due to a prescription drug overdose. He was a talented musician haunted by his demons, and his contribution to the Seattle sound remains undeniable and powerful. Bobbi Kristina Brown. Born into absolute music royalty, Bobbi Kristina Brown was the beloved daughter of Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown, living her life in the harsh glare of the spotlight. She carried the hopes of her family's musical dynasty, possessing a singing voice that showed glimpses of her mother's greatness. In a devastating echo of history, she passed away on July 26, 2015, at just 22 years old, after drug intoxication led to a drowning incident eerily similar to her mother's. Her story is one of profound heartbreak, a young life overshadowed by fame and cut short before it could truly begin. Gram Parsons. Gram Parsons was the visionary architect of cosmic American music, bridging the cultural gap between the grit of country and the rebellion of rock and roll. His work with the Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers, alongside his solo masterpiece Grievous Angel, laid the foundation for the Eagles and the entire country rock genre. On September 19, 1973, his journey ended in the desert at age 26 due to a morphine and alcohol overdose. He remains the Grievous Angel of music, a restless spirit whose influence flows through every chord of Americana music played today. Keith Whitley. With a voice steeped in the rich traditions of bluegrass and honky-tonk, Keith Whitley was hailed as the savior of traditional country music in the 1980s. His tear-jerking ballads like Don't Close Your Eyes and the timeless When You Say Nothing at All showcased a vocal control and emotional vulnerability that was simply unmatched. Tragically, on May 9, 1989, his rising star fell when he passed away from alcohol poisoning at just 34 years old. He left behind a flawless catalog, reminding us that the saddest songs often come from the truest hearts. Tim Buckley. Tim Buckley was a musical explorer with no boundaries, possessing a multi-octave voice that could shift from a whisper to a scream in a heartbeat. His experimental albums like Star Sailor and the hauntingly beautiful Song to the Siren defied categorization, blending folk, jazz, and psychedelia into something otherworldly. We lost this avant-garde genius on June 29, 1975, at age 28 following a heroin and alcohol overdose. His legacy is one of pure artistic fearlessness, a tragic precursor to the loss of his equally talented son, Jeff, years later. DJM Adam Goldstein, known globally as DJM, was a turntable wizard who revolutionized the open-format DJ style, blending rock, hip-hop, and pop seamlessly. He was a survivor who famously walked away from a horrific plane crash only to face the private, relentless battle of addiction and PTSD behind closed doors. On August 28, 2009, the music stopped when he was found dead at age 36 from an overdose involving cocaine and prescription drugs. He is remembered as a kind-hearted pioneer who brought technical mastery to the mainstream while fighting hard against his demons. Nick Drake. Nick Drake was a fragile, solitary figure whose intricate guitar playing and whispered vocals created a mood of profound, autumnal melancholia. During his life, albums like Pink Moon went largely unnoticed, but his genius was a slow, burning fire that eventually captivated the world decades after his death. Sadly, he passed away on November 25, 1974, at the age of 26 from an overdose of antidepressants. Today, he is revered as a poetic saint of acoustic music, proving that true art is timeless, waiting patiently for the world to be ready to listen. These legends may have left the stage, but the applause has never truly faded. Their songs are woven into the fabric of our lives, comforting us in sorrow and celebrating with us in joy. While their endings were tragic, their art remains a triumphant gift to us all. Which of these artists holds the most special place in your heart? Let us know in the comments below, and thank you for honoring their memories with us today.